Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahushai Brakatham, Yahweh Shema Thumba Shem Yahushai. We are the Isupk. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. Started in 1969. We're here to teach the truth of the Bible for blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, that they are the real Israelites the Bible talks about. You understand? And in finding out about our culture, the ancient Hebrew is a major part of our culture. As you see right here, we have on display some of what we were working on last week. Of course, this is Friday, so big ups to you for y'all that are tuning in. This is a Friday LASHAWAN QADASH class. LASHAWAN QADASH, which means holy tongue. You understand? This is the class where we go into the ancient Hebrew. You know what I'm talking about? We have the entire alphabet written right here for you to reference, both in the ancient Hebrew on the left side, and then on the right side, the Assyrian or AKA modern Hebrew. Of course, we don't pronounce things like the Yiddish community does because we're not Jewish. But we will, in fact, go with the ancient Hebrew. And we're going to continue what we left off from yesterday and kind of build on that and go into some more vocabulary as well as um, what do you call it, possessive pronouns and adjectives and things like that to start to build up our vocabulary a little bit more. So what we have on display here, when you take a look at the screen, you can see that we have the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Of course, this is going to be very important. This is one of the most pinnacle parts of knowing that you're an Israelite, because in order to be an Israelite, you have to come from one of these 12 tribes, one of these 12 tribes on your father's side, your father's lineage, meaning what? Your forefathers, the father of your father, the father of your father. And this is what that derives from somebody that comes from the land of Mexico and is indigenous to the land of Mexico, may have come from the tribe of Issachar. You understand? Because their forefathers derived from Issachar as far as like their lineage goes. If you come from the North American Indians, you could be considered from the tribe of Gad. It's a very high chance of it. So we go into the ancient Hebrew pronunciation of these terms. And so we're going to review some of these terms very briefly before we really dive into our class today. Again, for those of you that are just tuning in, shalom. This is Priest and Officer 50 Ayalawan Banzabalawan Ban Yasha Allah. And we're going to go ahead and start this class up. I'm going to go ahead and put the live stream on my phone so that I can keep track if there's any questions that are being posted in the chat. And for those of you that are tuning in, just go ahead and like and share the class as well. We definitely want to make sure that we're, pushing the classes out there to get people to see that this is indeed their culture. You understand? So let me just go ahead and share the class real quick. Baba Kusha. In the meantime, take a second to review the 12 tribes. We're gonna go over them here in a moment. Test 1, 2. There we go. That might be it right there. Audio. Testing 1, 2. There we go. All right, we should be good now. Hey, the water for that, Natty. All right. Let's see if we're good on that. Battery might be low on this one. I could be wrong. Let me see. Let's see if I can get this to go now. I know I had charged this mic. Let me see if it's All right, let me see if we can get this one showing back up. Checking mic once again. Let me know if y'all can hear me now. I want to see if it stays on this time, though. Testing once again. Still on. Still good. Yeah, it definitely is staying on now. See, it wasn't charging the receiver was not charging before, so we'll definitely need to address that. All right. Let's see how this holds up because I definitely see that we're good now. Most High in Christ. All right, so I'm gonna get back to it. Just let me know if it starts to give us any more issues, and we'll see what we can do. Hey, the water, Naughty. Appreciate the heads up on that. Trooper Taziyar, you gonna be here in a second. Most High in Christ. All right, so again, what we were talking about before the technical issues. Looks like we got that cleaned up, but this gave us plenty of time to write down what we have on the board here. So if you haven't done that, be sure to do that because we will be erasing this in the next 5 minutes or so. We've gone through the tribe of Judah, which is Yahawadah. As you can see, we have the ancient Hebrew writing for the tribe of Judah, both in ancient and Assyrian. And we have Benjamin by Niamyan. They are the so-called Jamaicans, Trinidadians, people from Tobago, people from the Caribbean, come from the tribe of Benjamin, Banyamyan. Now, keep in mind the 12 tribes of Israel have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. So there very well could be, people from the tribe of Judah or people from the tribe of Benjamin that are located in like England or, you know what I'm saying, France and places like that. We don't want to assume that everybody over there is an Israelite, but those that are susceptible to understanding the truth and coming in and finding out their culture, Christ even said himself, "My sheep hear my voice," right? So when we say these things, we're giving you kind of like the basis of where these tribes come from, post Christ walking the earth. You know what I'm saying? AD, because or maybe even BC when you get to some of these northern tribes here, because they had already been settled on this side of the globe before slavery, right? So continuing, we have the tribe of Levi, Law Yah. We have the La, Wa, and the Ya. Now you'll notice that the first two letters are what's joined together. La Ya. La Ya. All right. They are known today as the Haitians. The ISUPK, we continuously look to see if there are ways that we can help our brothers and sisters out that are in distress. And the mission to Acuna is the perfect example of us reaching out to the Haitians that were kept under the bridge, under the bridge near the Mexican border over by, I believe it was Del Rio. Um, and so the ISUPK deployed a caravan of about 33 brothers. It was over 30 brothers in vehicles. We had a truck full of supplies like food, clothes. You know what I mean? All types of toiletries and things like that for those. There were thousands of Haitians that were trapped under a bridge right there on the border to the U.S. over by Mexico, over in Mexico near Del Rio. So when the tribe of Haiti is La Ya, and of course, the Haitian tribe, the tribe of Haiti, is important because they were the ones that were the original priesthood in the times of after the Israelites left Egypt. The tribe of Levi is the tribe that would receive the tithes because they were the priests of Israel. And that's why when Israel was split into two, when you had the state of Judah and the state of Israel after the Rehoboam, and you read about this in the book of Second Kings, chapter 17, you'll find that the tribe of Levi was split in half so that half of the priesthood would be able to stay with the state of Judah and the other half would be able to remain with the northern tribes. And that's the tribe of Levi, who we know today as the so-called Haitians. Again, that is pronounced La Ya. Let's see if the audio is still there. All right, so far we're good. Most High in Christ. So next, it's the tribe of Simeon, the so-called Dominicans, Shemaiwan or Shamaiwan. You have your Shah, you have your Ma, you have your I, And again, if you need to understand these letters, and this is where you really start to get the understanding of the Hebrew, is look over here. And again, this is another reason why I say it's important to practice the actual alphabet, because you're going to see these letters every single class. So this is the foundation of the Hebrew class. So you want to start to understand what these letters are to the point where you're able to know how it sounds just from looking at the looking at the pictorial, characters and things like that. You don't want to get this mixed up with, any other language. All right. So you got a, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, Taza, Kwa, Ra, Sha, and Tha. Now, if you'll notice, there are 5 alternative characters here all the way on the right, and that's because the difference between ancient Hebrew and the Assyrian Hebrew, the only thing that you need to keep in mind is that some words, such as, let me see, what's a good example? Shemaiwan, the letter that we just talked, the word that we just talked about, Shemaiwan ends with the letter Na, with the character Na. And you'll notice that Na over here, it looks a little bit different than your typical Na that you see when it's anywhere else in the word. I'm going to see if I can find an example of that here. Naphthalia, right? Naphtali, the tribe of Naphtali. This is a Na right here. It looks like the number 3. This is Na here. But when Na is used at the end of a word, you actually see that it's a different letter. And so Shemaiwan, which ends with the Na, has the end version of Na. And you'll notice that Na and Wa look kind of similar, but Na, you'll know what the difference is because Na has a longer drag at the end of the character that goes below the what you would use as the guidelines for where you write the letters, right? Like when you're thinking about like loose leaf paper, you know what I'm saying? When you're thinking of loose leaf paper back in your school days, you had guidelines. You have that line that goes across the page so you know where to draw the lines, where to start it so that the letters were lined up. Well, the end version of some of these words, like the end ka, the end na, end pa, and end taza, those go beyond the line. You see what I'm talking about? So where you would have this lined up right across the line, the end na here goes a little bit beyond it. Kind of like how in English, when you write the letter Y, it goes below the line, right? Words like that, G would go below the line. So na goes below, all right? And that's why it looks like that. Shemaiwan, all right? Shemaiwan, which means, Shemai means heard, okay? And Wan in this case means affliction. That is the Dominicans. The Dominicans are another tribe that is notoriously easily interchangeable with Judah in the sense that the way the tribe of the Dominicans look is that they're very dark skinned Hispanic tribes, generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, to the point where you would damn near be surprised you catch a Dominican speaking in Spanish because they look like your typical, so-called African American, right? But because we're these 12 tribes, we are the same family. And so we look at each other as brothers and sisters and all different shades of brown. So let it be known that that's the tribe of the Dominican tribe, Shemaiwan. Next tribe we got is Zebulon. Zebulon, Zabalawan. These are the Central Americans from Guatemala to Panama. All right. And when you pronounce Zebulon in the ancient Hebrew, it's pronounced Zabalawan. Za, where's Za? Za, Ba, La, and then you have your Wa, and then you have your end letter Na. Again, Na, and just like how we had Na at the end of Maiwan, Zabalawan has the end Na, which I kind of dramatically drew longer than the Wa that's right next to it, and that's why they look similar, but they are still different letters because you can tell the difference there. Zabalawan, one. I understand. Moving forward, next tribe is Ephraim, pronounced in Hebrew Aparayam. Aparayam. This is the tribe that you would call today the so-called Puerto Ricans. The Puerto Ricans. Aparayam. Aparayam. You understand? Aparayam. Another example of an end letter that we're using because you see the ma at the end is joined with the ya. Aparayam. Aparayam. And what is the difference between the ma here? Shema. There's a little bit of a lip there when it's used in the middle of a word or at the beginning of a word versus this more square like character that you see when it is used at the end of a word. So, what are we doing right now? We're reviewing the way to pronounce the tribe names, but we're also take a look at the characters used with the names to them together for the ancient Hebrew. And then, of course, in the Assyrian, but with the ancient Hebrew dialect. Okay. So there's no vowels in ancient Hebrew. So these letters and characters, like characters that you're seeing right here, are no vowels. They're all consonants. Okay. Aparayum, Aparayum. The next tribe, tribe of Manasseh. Manasseh in the Bible, these are the so-called Cubans. Okay. Now we're getting to some of these more of these northern tribes here, the so-called Cubans. Now, of course, the pronunciation is Manasha. You have your ma, na, sha, and ha, right? But the sha and the ha are connected, so it's pronounced sha, Manasha. And again, in the Assyrian, Manasha, Manasha. Always refer to the alphabet right here if you need help referencing what these characters mean or how they sound. The tribe of Gad. The tribe of Gad, you have your Ga and your Da. So it's the shortest name for any of the tribes. Gad is just two characters, and it's pronounced God. God, not God like in English when we say like Most High God. That's not what this is saying. God means troop in ancient Hebrew. North American Indians, these are a very warlike people, people that were hunter gatherers, the people that were very resourceful. The North American Indians is the tribe of Gad. Um, Good example of that if you've seen any of the recent, movies like the Predator movie on Hulu with the sister and the Native Americans that were of course, it's a science fiction movie, but you kind of get an idea of how these people were very traditional in their culture, resourceful with their everything around them, from the buffalo, the resources, and of course, North American Indians. They have really good endurance too. There are some of the tribes that would, they'd be able to run marathons across, plains and mountain ranges, and where you would typically be passed out from being, what I'm saying, from having to huff and puff down a trail. The North American Indians were doing this every single day, so it became second nature for them to have that kind of endurance. The tribe of Gad is pronounced God. You have your Ga and your Da. There's your Assyrian, there's your ancient Hebrew, and that's the tribe of Gad. Similar to the tribe of Gad, you also have the tribe of Reuben. The tribe of Reuben. These are your Seminole Indians. This is a specific area in the United States where the Seminole Indians were living, or in the Americas. And this tribe is pronounced Ra Awaban. Ra Awaban. And again, the end na is used. You have your ba and the na. So you have ban na at the end. As you can see, that this is the line where you're drawn to keep track of where your characters are, drawn at. You'll notice again the na goes beyond that, right? So that again just kind of alludes to the point here with these end characters. All of them except for ma actually do that. Okay. So again, the tribe of Reuben, Ra Awaban, the Seminole Indians. Okay. Then we have the tribe of Ash from Colombia to Uruguay. Colombia to Uruguay. Again, South America. The tribe of Asher is pronounced Ashar in the ancient Hebrew. Ah, Shah, and then Ra. With the Shah and the Ra joined together to be pronounced Ashar. Ashar means happy. So this is the tribe of, these people are very optimistic. You understand? The tribe of Asher. You ever known anybody from Colombia? You know that they're very, happy-go-lucky people. They're very cheerful people, people that are optimistic even in the worst times. And the name of their tribe definitely, backs that up. Ashar, Ashar. and again in the ancient Hebrew. All right. Next we have Naphtali, the tribe of Naphtali, the Argentinians, right? Napathalia. You have your na, pa, thal. You have your tha and your la. Those are actually put together. That's where you get thal. Napathalia. Napathalia. And again in the ancient Hebrew, Napathalia. Always refer to the alphabet here if you need to see like the word la. We haven't seen that one in the Assyrian yet, I believe. That's where you see this little squiggly right here. It almost looks like a half drawn, heart or whatever. I don't even want to refer to it like that, but that's just what the letter looks like. So la, Napathalia. Those are your Argentinians. You know what I'm saying? And then finally, last but not least, you have the tribe of Issachar, which means he is hired. Their name means he is hired. Yashakar, the so-called Mexicans, you have your Ya, Sha, Kar. And for some reason, it was actually taken out here. Let me get the pen real quick. I just need to write it down in the Assyrian. So you have Yashakar. Notice that somebody might have rubbed against it. No sweat. So you have Ya, then you have your Shah. Now, the tricky thing about Yashakar is that you actually have two Shahs in a row. You have Yash, and then you have a Shah by itself. There's your letter Shah. And one thing, too, that you'll notice is that Shah in the Assyrian is actually pretty similar to Shah in the ancient Hebrew as well. Yash, Shah, and then you have Ka, and then you have Ra. Yash, Shakar. Yashakar. All right. So you definitely want to get these letters down. If you don't have these written down, now's the time to go ahead and write them down. I'm going to leave them up here for one more minute. Then we're going to go ahead and erase it. And then we're going to go ahead and get into some of our vocabulary today. Okay. We're going to go into some vocabulary. We're going to start putting a little bit of, what do you call them? Verbs and prepositions and possessive adjectives together with some of our vocabulary words today. So I'm going to leave this up here for a minute. Take the time to write this down. Hopefully we have a clear screen for y'all to see. Most High Christ. And if anybody has any questions about any of these, go ahead and post them in the chat. I'll leave this up here for another minute. I'll give y'all a chance to get everything down. Christ. Go ahead and lock the door behind you. There you go, man. All right, Most High Christ. So it looks like we got did you get a chance to write this down? Have you ever written this down yet? All right, tight. All right, let's go ahead and clean this out here real quick. No sweat. I'll make sure you get all this. All right, no sweat. Yahweh Shah Brakatah. So we're gonna go over quite a bit of vocabulary today. We're gonna learn some words, all right? The ISUPK, we implement more and more of our language as we begin to learn it. You know, some of the most common words that you'll see in the ISUPK that are used: tawab, which means good, and that is pronounced ta, wa, ba, right? Or tawab, which means good. You have your ta, and then wa, and then ba, which you put together to create tawab. Now, of course, we use these words all the time, but it's to now know how to write it in the ancient Hebrew language, right? So again, tawab, and again, if you need to refer to the alphabet, I have it right here. So ta, right, and then wa, and then ba. It's the same thing. Tawab. What's another commonly used word that the UPK uses just on an everyday basis? Go ahead. All right, Salakia. All right. Salak. So what? So how does this word get put together? I'll give you a hint. Ya, when it's used at the end of a word, means my or I or I'm. So when someone says salak, that is similar to when you may have heard the word salah before. You may have read that in the English Bible. Salah. Salak means sorrow or sorry. So if you're saying salak ya, you're saying I'm sorry. Does that make sense? Yes. Or it could be also my apology or my atonement, something like that. So salakia would be there's your sa, there's your la, there's your ka. I'm pretty sure I think it's like that. Yeah. So la, and then you have your ya, right? Salakia. Salakia. Now, of course, you don't want to get them mixed up. I and sa, when you see how they look similar when you go from the ancient to the Assyrian, so that is something that you just kind of have to remember. So sa, remember I said before, has a little hairdo on it. Sa in the Assyrian, right? Sa, and then you have your la, which comes across like that. Hmm? What do you talk? Well, I mean, okay, so 9 times out of here's what I'll say. Believe it or not, the most common one that you're going to see is the Assyrian because of Sabbath service, right? Sabbath service. However, when it comes to us really diving into our culture, when you go to Passover and you see the garments that brothers have on, probably going to have the ancient Hebrew. You understand? Yeah, this is exactly that is the most ancient form of the Hebrew. This is so a lot of brothers like to go with the ancient Hebrew because it is the oldest variant. But we use the Assyrian or the modern Hebrew because it is the more common variant for apps that we use, like the Bible Hub app, the Blue Letter Bible app for for Sabbath service and things like that. So we want to know both of them. We want to know both. We prefer this one because you don't have to deal with none of the end letters. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, it's actually easier to remember the ancient Hebrew because a lot of the letters actually are very similar to their modern counterparts, even in English. Like you take a look at Ka, it looks like a backwards K, you know? You look at za, it looks like a Z already. La already looks like an L. So some of these things like ma and na, you know how ma, like the letter M, has more squigglies than N? Well, this has more squigglies than this one. So it makes it easy to remember it because once you get this alphabet down, this is kind of like your favorite one. And most people tend to prefer this one. But again, we want to cover both just to be thorough, right? So la, where's the ka? We know that ka looks like this, right? And then the ya is a small letter, right? Salakia. Some vocabulary for you. Ayundabar is another one, right? It's Most High Christ. Ayundabar. Ayundabar is interesting because we know Dabar means to speak, but Ayundabar means what? You're welcome. Mhm. So how does that look? You have your ah, you have your ya, then you have your na. Ayun, right? Ayun. And then you have your da, your ba, and then your ra. Ayundabar. You see? And after a while you get so used to it, I'm not even looking over here anymore. I'm starting to really put it together. Ayandabar in the Assyrian. All right. Ah, ya, and you have your na. So, okay, Salakia. This is an end na. So my mistake there. Because end na, there's na, but when it's at the end of a word, it's actually like this, just like how it's written right here. Ayan. Let me finish this real quick, then I'll answer your question. So da, ba, ra, dabar. Ayandabar. Now you'll notice that I'm actually putting these little lines here. So the lines here are to help you when you're reading it. So if you see a little like this, then that just means pronounce the letter by itself. Ma. When you see this, when it goes like a smiley face, you'll notice that I'm actually writing it under two letters at the same time. That's to let you know that it's joining to that one. So technically, this is more like this, right? So yan. So ayan dabar. Now, again, the ancient Hebrew is more basic, and that's what we do with any language that we like. Um, you listen to hip hop, you listen to, just modern culture, even Spanish, right? Spanish, we'll find ways to use words more than one way, or we'll find ways to shorten words, right? Um, you know what I'm saying? So like that's just kind of what we do because we like getting the point across as quick as possible because we like to say a lot with not as many words. So ayan the bar is another one. Ayan the bar. You see that? Ayan the bar. Go ahead and write that down if you haven't already. Let me give you a moment. Are you talking about in the UPK or like in the world? The so-called Jewish man does use the Assyrian. Hmm. Yeah. To be more specific, if you want to know more about how that came to be, do you know why we call it the Assyrian? We call it the Assyrian Hebrew because Israel went into Assyrian captivity 720 BC. You can read about that in the book of 2 Kings chapter 17. And when we got put into Assyrian captivity, they took people from that side of the world and tried to put them in the land of Israel. And when you're talking about the so-called Jewish man, that is where they originate from as far as them being on our land. and they come from Syria. They come from, you know what I'm saying, different parts of their Georgia, Ashkenazi, you know what I'm saying, different parts of the Caucasus Mountains. So you have a lot of heathens in that land now that were not Israelites. The original Israelites used this language. The Assyrians and people that replaced the Israelites in our land use this language. To this day, they use that language. Okay. So that's why, like, well, this language has been around for as long as I can trace back. Well, that's because that's when they were moved into our land. Ayandabar, Salakia, Tuwab. What's another good one? Can we think of any more? Okay, out of one. Yeah, no sweat. Just be careful not to knock the lamp over. Out of one. Out of one, no. Out of one. Now, this is another good example. So, out of one, wa and na. I'll come over here on this side. Wa, it's like a little curve down. Now, when you see it on the app, when you look at it on like Blue Letter Bible, it's just a straight line. They don't even do the little curve. Like when you look at it like on the like when we're doing Sabbath service, it's just a straight line. Nah, they also do it as a straight line, but it's a slightly longer straight line. But technically, handwriting wise, it's supposed to have a slight curve and then go straight down. So you'll notice that the end na, there's na in the Assyrian, and na looks like this. So Adawan, you see the wa, but then you see how the difference between wa and na, the end na goes further down. So when you look at it like these two letters right here on the Bible Hub app is gonna look like that. You see what I'm saying? The ancient Hebrew, it's not that's not the language that they were given. Yeah, that's like, you know how tradition is passed down from generation to generation. When the Assyrians were put into our land, that was the Hebrew that they learned. They did not learn the ancient Hebrew. And it's almost like as if the Most High did that on purpose because the ancient Hebrew is separate. So the Most High had his way of making sure that they were not using the real Hebrew anyways. You know what I'm saying? And then of course they go and change it by adding letters and changing the way they sound. So it's almost like the original language has been kept intact throughout all this time and hasn't been defiled by other nations. So we're just kind of picking up where we left off when before we. Let me see here. That's really all it is, man. Any other phrases that we could think of? Let's do one more. So why we got Salakia, Ayandabar, Adawan. There's plenty. Okay, Khan and La'a. We'll do both of them. So Khan and La. Notice that every time I write a letter, I'm using exactly what you see here. No matter what, La'a, right? So Khan, of course, we know that means yes, and La'a means no. So based off of this alphabet here, we know that it's going to look like this. We have Ka and we have Na, right? Ka, and then end Na. Khan. This is kind of terrible. I know I have to do that, but that's kind of what happens when you start using those longer characters. You know what I'm saying? I'm just separating them. La is just a la and a ah, but they're not joined together. It's yeah, la, which is also la and then ah. So those are some of your basic phrases. Did you happen to catch some of the vocabulary I went over a couple weeks ago? Because we can go over some of those words. Some of those words are going to be very useful to know. All right, that's all right. Let me know once you have that written down, and then I'll go ahead and clear it out. So we're going to have some more words to put on there. We're good? Okay. Hey, Dewada for letting me know that the audio was out. It took me a minute to figure out what was going on. I think the receiver wasn't being charged, so we had to recharge it. So let's get some more vocabulary, right? Never hurts to learn more language. Before we do that, we want to use possessive adjectives throughout. You'll see. So possessive adjectives are added at the end of a word that makes it belong to somebody or something. So, say for instance, my. You'll add a ya. Your. You'll add a ka. These are basically word modifiers. His is wa. Her is ha. Our is nawa. And then just to kind of put a little bit more of them, your. I'll explain this here in a minute as well. Female plural is con. Now, this you're actually going to be familiar with because you're fluent in Spanish. So, modifiers in Hebrew take on that same effect when it comes to certain things. So, Salakia. Salakia means if Salak means sorry, Yah means my sorrow or my sorry, my apology, right? If you were chastising your child and you were getting after them because of something that they did and you were expecting their apology, you would say Salak ka. Yeah. Right. Your. Or if you're talking about somebody, say your child is a daughter, Salak ha. Salak ha. I want to say that if I'm not mistaken, it could, and this is just kind of giving you the basic foundation, but feminine words sometimes actually join the last word. Salaka. It sounds the same, but it's, written slightly different. So we're gonna basically take some extended vocabulary to actually kind of expound on that. I will cover some of what we did yesterday. So, or not yesterday, but yeah, it was about a week ago. So let's take a look at some common words. Money. Money is shaqual. Shaqual. Now, one unit. One unit of money is shaqual. Multiple, which is what you're going to use more commonly for money, is shaqual yum. Just like how when we say multiple of anything, captains is saranyam, the officers is quatazayanyam, right? The generals is uh um was it alawapium, money is shaqualium, shaqualium, shaqual, shaqual. So money in your general sense, like uh made this certain amount of money. Now we're going to go into numbers, like so that you can actually write down the specific number. Say you have a paycheck, right? You get a paycheck, and then you can say, okay, well, I have this amount. Well, you're going to know how to say that in Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? At some point. But this is kind of like the foundation for it. So now you have shaqual, right? And then you have yan, uh, right there. Shaqualium. This is the word for, this is the more common word for money. Shaqualium, right? Which is the same thing as right here, where we just did this. Shaqualium, right? This is what it's a part of everyday life, right? But money, of course, back in the day was either shekels or gold or silver, copper, things like that. Nowadays, we we use a fiat money. The American dollar is not backed by any, minerals like gold or silver anymore. It's just it values based off of what we say it's worth, or what the global economy feels like it's worth at any given time. So that fluctuates over time. But shaqualium, of course, is something that is used for goods and trading and things like that, and commerce and all that sort of stuff. So this is a very common word as well. Shaqualium. You have that written down? No, go ahead, take your time. Make sure you get that one down. We got quite a few words that we can cover here. Shaqualium. Hmm. I was just as for reference. You know what I'm saying? All right, we're good on that. Sound great. right? Let's get some examples of using the possessive adjectives. So the word beard, for example, right? That's something that we see every day when we look in the mirror. It's za kwana, za kwana. Now you'll notice that it's not actually joined at any point. So each one of those letters is pronounced separate from each other. So za, again, I think this is za right here. Za kwana. All right. Now, once we have that, let me know once you have that down, and then we'll add to it. So, so if we want to say my beard, how would we do that? It's the opposite. So possessive adjectives are added to the end of the word. Zakwanaya. Zakwanaya. So we're just adding the ya. You see that? So possessive adjectives are added at the end. Just like how we say Salakia. So Zakwanaya, we're just adding the ya at the end. Say you know what I'm saying? Say you're looking at a photo from Passover, and then some sisters commenting on the page. Say this is in the future where we're all fluent in Hebrew, right? And she's looking at, oh, man, y'all's beards look glorious, right? Your comment is in with the end, zakwanakam. Or if you were commenting on a photo that had, brothers with, the full garment outfits and all that stuff, and something was being talked about with the beard, our beard. Well, of course, there's no way that beard can be multiple peoples when it's one. So it would have to be multiple beard, and then it would be with the yam at the end, right? Nawa means our. But then yam means multiple. You see that? So you know how like when we're reading in the Sabbath service and you see a word that's like a whole bunch of characters put together? It's just a word that's modified to mean something specific. And that's really all we're doing right here is we're just modifying the word to then mean exactly what we want it to mean, right? So now we know that it's our beards. It would be our beards. It would be Zakwana Nawayam. Now you don't have to say it all at once, Zakwana Nawayam. You could, pronounce it at your own pace. That's why you see me writing it right here. Just like that. And it would look like this. But we know the main word is this. This is the base word. That's beard, Zakwana. Nawayam, which just means ours. You know what I'm saying? Our beard. Now, of course, if it was a word that you'd be able to say was one object, like our school or something like that, then it wouldn't be multiple schools. So you wouldn't have the yam at the end, but you would have the nawa. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was saying nawa yam, because you can't own the beard that I have. We would have our own each individually. So that's where you see the yam come into play, right? Now, if I were to just, write this in the Assyrian, just to have it in the Assyrian, Zakwa na Notice that because now we're not using it at the end of the word. I'm using the regular na. Zako na wa yam. And again, this is another example. So ma, I don't want to overwhelm you, but again, ma. Yeah, just I'll say this. Go ahead and write it down first, right? Again, I'm gonna piece it together like that, right? It doesn't. So it gets complicated when you start putting the sentences together. But really, the sentence is just a bunch of words that are modified. You know what I mean? So if you focus on getting the words down right and getting the vocabulary up, then you start to understand the language a lot better. Zakwana nawayum. Our beards are glorious. You know what I'm saying? We will add to that later on. And again, ma. The only difference between ma when it's used in the middle of a word versus ma when it's used as the end is that this one has a hat, this one does not. Or a hairdo, whatever you want to say. So this one it's literally just a square. But if it was used anywhere else in the word, it would have that little lip there. I don't know why it's like that, but that's just how it is, all right? So if you have that one written down, we can go to another word. All right. Now here's a good one. Tribe. Shabbat. Mm-hmm. Shabbat. Shabbat. So Shabbat, right? So what is it that we do every Saturday? It's the day for yeah. Saturday is known as the day of rest, but why is it that Shabbat is the same word for the day that we use as the day of rest? It's because that's our day. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, people in the world, of course, the Assyrians and fake Israelites, they'll say Shabbat Shalom, which means what? Tribal peace. Shalom meaning peace, or tribal rest. Peace and rest go one and the same, right? Because if you're not at war, you're at peace, and when you're at peace, you're not exerting a whole bunch of energy, so that's considered rest. So Shabbat means tribe, meaning what? The day of rest is our day. You know what I'm saying? It's a day for the tribes. Now, if I were to say tribe, my tribe is just Shabbat Yah. Shabbat Yah. So Shabbat Yah Zabalawan, right? I'm saying my tribe is Zebulon. Shabbat Yah, Yahawada, meaning my tribe is Judah. You know what I'm saying? Or in mine and your case, because we're both from the same tribe, we could say our tribe. Mm-hmm. Shabbat Noah. See how that is? And so the good news is once you get used to using these modifiers, it's the same ones for every single word. Shabbat Noah. Shabbat Noah. Shabbat Noah. Our tribe. It's really just it's kind of like putting Lego pieces together, you know what I mean? But the actual vocabulary is the tough part because we don't know that yet. And then we learn this on the fly. Shabbat Noah. Today's class is not necessarily the vocabulary, but it's more about practicing using the possessive adjectives. I just like to use different words so that we can also get our feet wet with more of our language. You know what I mean? Let's go with some of the vocabulary I have for today. What's up? My people. Let me see. How do you say that? We say it a lot during the Sabbath service. I'm. Mm-hmm. People. I'm. Now here's the thing though. So this is just people. That's the base word, right? So my people would be I'm Yah. I'm Yah. Right? I'm Yah. Our people would be I'm Noah. I'm Noah. Your people. Now depending on and here's a really good example of how to use some of these other modifiers, right? Say you're at the club, right? In the future, when we're in the kingdom or whatever, if we have clubs, and you're talking to a bunch of women, you say, why don't y'all come over here? We're in the VIP section. Bring your people or your homegirls. Well, I'm means the same thing. Your people, your you know what I mean? Your unit, you know what I'm saying? Your people. So now which one would we use? Of course, here's the male version, here's the female version. So it'd be I'm Khan. I'm Khan. I'm Khan. Now, of course, that's one word. That's why Khan, even though it means yes, is not, that's a whole different word when it's by itself. I'm Khan would be, you know what I'm saying, like that. And the end, nah. You see? I'm Khan. Now, what I do is I just keep the base word as it is. I need to. I'm gonna be learning more and more as we go because I don't think that because we add this at the end that this is now pronounced Imakan. I don't think that's the case. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's the case. So I'm not gonna worry about that right now. Again, we're just learning these possessive adjectives just to kind of get our feet wet with it. Your people. What would be? How would we say your people? Exactly. And that's where you see your is very similar to your, but we're just making it plural because it's multiple people. So ka and then kam and kan are very similar, but just know that those come from the word ka, right? So I'm ka, which means your people. So if you were uh, talking to like the white man at camp and you wanted to confuse him by talking in Hebrew, You'd be like, I'm Ka, which is weird because I am means people, but they're thinking of it in English like I am. Yeah, so it would throw them off. I'm Ka actually means your people, and then Shaitan, which means devil. You know what I'm saying? Or Aisha Shah, which means wasted away. You start to learn more. And that's really what's cool about this class. This class, you kind of get into the more technical side of things. And that's and what's crazy is that this is just one class, just like how you do scripture breakdowns and you hear scriptures. When you start hearing the vocabulary, there may be time, in the future where you're in class and there's other people that are learning, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember we went over that. I already know that word, but it'll be their first time hearing it. But because you've heard it more than once, yeah. Hmm. Oh yeah, the little characters, right? Yeah. Hmm. Sign of Christ. Let's try. All right, let's go with this one. Damage. Mm-hmm. Shakath. I won't put you on the spot and have you come up here and write it on the board, but what letter do we use? We use Sha, we use Ka, and then we use the Tha to finish it off, right? So we have Sha, Ka, which looks like the ladder, right? And then the Tha, which looks like a T that's fallen over. Shakath. Mm-hmm. See, and you know what's cool is that you could take the word. This could be somebody's. This could be the name of like your dog, right? A damage. Yeah. Say he's like a Rottweiler, right, or a pit bull. His name could be Shakatya, right? That could be your dog's name right there. Shakatya, meaning I damage. I'm just saying. That wouldn't be incorrect to do that if that was the kind of dog that you feel like you could be. Uh, or maybe he's not that kind of dog. Maybe he's only like that when there's, heathens around or somebody that doesn't belong at the house. Which one? Shakath Tha. Think of it like an X, but yeah. More like a T. You see what I'm saying? Think of it more like when you're writing it down, when you're practicing it, you're gonna notice that it's like a longer line and then a shorter line. But the shorter line's not exactly in the middle. It's like a little bit shifted up. So that's why I say it looks like a T that's tipping over. Yeah. So that's Tha. We grew up Christian. But Tha in the Assyrian looks like a little petal, right? A little dog. A little Tha. So Shakathya means I damage. That could be like it's not necessarily supposed to be a name, but if it's used in a sentence, you know what I'm saying? It's somebody that's showing their prowess about ability to, eye damage. It's the same thing. My and I are interchangeable. So if you say my damage or if you say my damage, that's talking about the damage that happened to you. You know what I'm saying? But you could use it the exact same. It's the same exact word. Shakatya. You'd be like damage report, you know what I mean? But oh man, I got a bruise on my knee, you know what I mean? But this is my damage. You'd be like Shakatya, and then you point to it. You know what I mean? So yeah. So this just kind of in those words. Of course, this is our basic understanding of it, but this is correct. So it is the most Ebonic way to say it because it's the most simple way to say it. And like if you're out of breath because you just got through running 30 miles and then you wanted to say a lot without saying much, you know what I'm saying? It is slang. The whole thing is slang. The whole language is slang. Yeah. I damage. This is a perfect name for a dog right here. What's another one? Say you have a pet cat or something, right? A pet, maybe a lion. Shoot, I don't either, but they still exist though. Cut. Now, as far as our language goes, we could use that. We use the word cut for all kinds of things. Cut like slice with the sword. Cut like when you're checking somebody with the scriptures, that's a cut, right? Karath. Karath. Do you want to write it? Come on. Just be careful not to hit the cameras right behind you, right? Yeah, that's close. And then the tha at the end. Yep, that's it. Karath. Karath. You don't have to do the Syrian. But, yeah, you get the idea, right? So Karath is. I feel like I have better handwriting for this than in English. Karath. Okay. So if say you have a really mean lion or a leopard. Say your pet is a leopard or a cheetah, and he's known to slice and dice, right? His name could be I Cut, and his name would be Karathia. And that's why you see a lot of brothers have ya at the end of the name, because it's a possessive adjective, and it takes the word and it makes it theirs. So it turns it into a name, even though cut is actually a verb. But if you say like I cut, Karathia would literally mean I cut. Karathia. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Karathia. We got some haters in the chat. I don't know if you've seen in the chat. I want y'all to understand something about. Yeah, you can see it on the comments. Look at the screen. So you got some people that are saying that that this ain't real Hebrew, but we got news for you. This is the oldest language planet. This is the oldest version of the languages on the planet Earth. It's supposed to be simple. That's why when what we've gone over today, we've been able to learn so much in a short amount of time because language is not that difficult. It's just a matter of learning the vocabulary. And we're just gonna keep using more examples, right? Did you already write this down? Karath. So what does that mean? So say Cap. Here's a learning experience. You might even be able to teach your elders something like this. Say camp is going on. I'm just giving you examples, right? Because we want to use real world examples. That's the best way to learn any language. That's how you learn Spanish. That's how you learn English. Even if it's second language. You learned it because it was being used in real world examples that make you relate to it better. So we know that good cut, it would be a compliment. Meaning what? Now, this is slang. We're using the word cut like as if, say, you're at camp and captain goes in and, check the Edomites and, what I'm saying, sets it off like you're seeing in our camp videos. And you go up to cap and you say, Karath, Ka, Tawab. Because it belongs to you. You're talking to Cap. You're telling him your cut is good. Meaning what? That was a good cut. That cut belongs to you. It's your cut. So your cut would be Karath Ka. Karath Ka Tawab. You see that? So this would be a good cut. That would be a compliment. Karath Ka Tawab would be that'd be a very full sentence, but you're saying a lot without saying much. Karath Ka and then Tawab. What is it again? It's yeah. Tawab. Karath Ka Tawab. Yeah. But no, of course we say it backwards. It's Ka, which is cut, and then Tawab is afterwards. Because the language is not the way we say it. We say cut, we're actually saying your cut is good. Ka. That's why I'm adding this to make it theirs, because you're telling them. Or if Cap said that and then at the end he turned around and said Karath Ya Tawab. Meaning what? Because he's the one saying it. He's like, my cut was good, wasn't it? And then you say Khan, right? Because you're agreeing with it. So that's just a real world example. Right. Yeah, you say, no, I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Now, how do we say that in Hebrew? Because I know Debar would be used in there somewhere. No, Debar, which speak. I have to do some research on that. Karath Ka Tuab. As just a small example. But you see how we're just using these on all these different words. The words are whatever they are, but these are always the same thing. Right? We're just looking for ways to use it on an everyday basis. Someday, right? Okay, beast. Ama. Bama. No, that it actually aha. And then and again over here, ba, and then you have your ha, and then you have your ma, which is just a square with the lip at the end, and then another ha. Ba ma. All right. It's an easy way to refer to any specific pet, because the scripture refers to any animal as a beast, as long as it's not a creeping thing like a bug or something like that. And that's kind of different. But beast would be a dog. It could be a cat. It could be. This is kind of like a more generalized word for animal. You know what I'm saying? Or again, because we use words more than one way, beast could also mean a compliment and something bad. Yo, man, you a beast on the football field. You know what I mean? So, or it'd be like, white man's a beast. He's just he's an animal. You know what I mean? So since we're doing possessive adjectives, beast. My pet. Say you're introducing your pet to somebody. Bamaya. Bamaya. Which means my beast. My beast would be, so you look and you see the pit bull on the ground just sitting there all like stocky, right? Like this. That's my beast right there. Yeah. Like kinfolk, yeah. Bamaya. Bamaya is my beast. Bamaka. Exactly. Yeah. That's it. It's just we're just changing the possessive adjective that's at the end. Or say you have a rib, right? And she has a beast. Her beast. Ha. Bamaha. Bamaha. So we're just adding that at the end. So it's important to know the base word because you'll know where the joins are at. That's the part that's tricky. Because when we're reading during Sabbath service and we're seeing these characters, we're like, is that Baha Maha or is it Bahma? It's a matter of knowing the word, right? But that comes through time because all the other words that we read before that are gonna kind of hint at what that's gonna be. So that's why we take it bit by bit, learn the vocabulary. And before you know, you'll realize that there isn't nearly as many words that are Hebrew versus the English language. Like we don't have a word for high fructose corn syrup and shit like that, right? What the heck is fructose? You know what I mean? When you look at the ingredients on a food, how are we supposed to have a tetrahydro? You know what I mean? Like we don't have all them crazy terms. We know that it's going to be some kind of sorcery or something. You know what I mean? Some kind of material. You know, but sticking with what we're talking about here, beast it simply means animal in this case. Makes it possessive to me. Let's do a couple more, and then we're actually going to end it on that because again, Hebrew classes they don't have to go 2 hours, but um, I don't want to give you too much at once because it could be overwhelming and kind of can be. It can get that way real quick. I like to do vocabulary, but we're also going to be doing things like reading the prayer, right? Say if I go, you know what? Before I do that, let me say a greeting. All right. Remember, look right here. You need help. Let me help you. Hmm. You see? So because the idea is there's going to be like, say we have a school and we're going to have on the walls, it's just going to be this. It'd be like, okay, everybody stand and face the east. And when you look at the east, say we have a wall that's on the east side of the building, and it's gonna have this and nothing else. And you'll be able to read it because you'll know the letters. Not because you already know the greeting, or partially because of that, but because you'll know how to read the letters. Because you'll know the actual characters, right? Right. And so yeah. Yep. Yeah. Bahasham. And that's why I have the connector. Sha and Ma are joined together. So Sham. So this, if anything, we would at least have the connectors. But I mean, when you read the Torah, it's just like expect you, right? Yeah. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh. Go ahead. hmm Joined with what letter? hmm Shy. hmm That's why I say in practicing the alphabet will help you out with this a lot. So you have your ba, right? And then what else? Try to, undo the writing, but go ahead. That could be written a little bit better. I know earlier you wrote it exactly how it looked, but it's technically supposed to look just like that and then that. Yeah, yeah, that's correct. Bara. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Get the last. Ha. A tha, which means you. That's the actual word, you. A tha. And then a tham means you plural. You know what I'm saying? But that's different from this because these are possessive adjectives that are added to the end of the word. This is just the actual word you by itself. A tha. And this is where it gets complicated because it's like, well, I gotta redo all this again. Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Barak Atha. It's the same thing. It's just the other letters, the other characters. Yeah. So that's the greeting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's ours. It's still ours too. Think of it like that. It's still ours as well. All of it is. It's just that this is the OG, and then this is uh the remix. Yes. Usually the remix is the original, right? That goes with anything, but let me see if we got any comments, any questions in the chat before we close it out. This is trash. Joshua Flores, bro, you need to get in class, Joshua. Let it be known that Joshua Flores needs to get in class. What, Flores? It's probably your cousin. Probably your cousin. But hey, I'm not gonna leave it with this on the board. Officer Dawd would check me if I didn't have the English up here too. So I'm gonna put something different. Let's go. Let's do one more. Another good word. Oh, family. Family. Good one. Mashpacha. Oh, Slovakia. Yeah, mashpacha. Right. Look at that. We scholars in here, man. I'm not even looking at this. I'm just like mashpaka. Like that just comes from years of me just. You remember what I told you before? This is what I told Mike Oliver slash Shemaiwan, who was no longer with us in the school, unfortunately. But that brother, he was learning it very, very fast because he followed my advice. Take the alphabet, like on what you got right there. Write this vertically, line by line, and then all you got to do is just go like this. Like you know how right to left. Start like write this on the right side of your paper, and then across like each line, you're gonna go Every time you write it, say it ah. Do that all across the paper, and then you're done with that. Then you go to the next one. Ba, 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 and then every time that like you do that, I'm telling you, by the time you filled out 3 pieces of paper doing this, then you'll come back over here and you'll see able to interchange it. You'll see Mash, you'll be like, okay, Masha, and put them together. Or you could see the letter and you know how to say the letter. You know what I'm saying? But I had to do that for the ancient Hebrew. Start with that, do that first. And then once you actually have it memorized to the point where you got it down pat, like you see the letter Sa, you see Tazah, which you don't see that often. You see the Tha, you're like, oh no, I got that down. And then you go into this. But I will say it is important to know this too, because you're going to use that every single Saturday, anyways. So you're not going to see the ancient Hebrew during the Sabbath service. You know, at least not into the kingdom, or at least not for now. Well, there is one out there. It's $180. It's it's the Old Testament in the ancient Hebrew, and it's got the connectors. There's one out there. Yeah, I'm thinking about ordering it. I want to get one. Um, you know what I'm saying? Family. So again, mashpaka. Mashpaka is family. So if I'm gonna say his family, how would I do that? That's it, right? Wah. And then you're simply here or the wah here. Mashpachawa. You know what I'm saying? We'll keep it simple like that. Just because, like I said, there may be some more intermediaries, but there's some things that we just want to get this down right. Pakawa. Mashpakaya. Mashpaka. Mashpakaka. Right? Your family. Our family. Mashpakanawa. Right. Mashpakakan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Does that kind of help give you an understanding of now what we've done today is we've used different vocabulary, but we've kind of zeroed in on using these to modify the words for everyday use so that we could turn these words to things that pertain to, us or them or him or her. And that's yeah, now you can see why the words get this long. And it's like, well, what the heck is all this? Well, it's just this. And then sometimes stuff at the beginning, right? And we'll get into all that as we go. But it's really just a matter of getting the vocabulary down, seeing more examples of it, and then, of course, continuing to practice it with real world examples. Before you know it, you'll start to catch on more and more. You've already gotten more comfortable with it just from today. You know what I'm saying? And as a people, it's important for us because, I mean, we're talking in English right now. We're going to like this. The goal is, can we do this before it would do our commanding general proud. It would elders, you know, effort that we put into learning this stuff because it is ours and we have to take it back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. That's it. Hmm. We'll leave it like that, man. So with that, again, this is the ISUPK. Started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We are in the commanding general Yohana. We're here to teach the truth of the Bible for blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, that they are the real Israelites that the Bible speaks of. We'll go ahead and end it on that. I'll speak to our Shamar department to see if we want to implement, you know, the final report and everything like that when there's more people in the room. But I know that it's a little bit different when it's just one of us. But I'll double check on all that. All right, then with that, Shalom, Yahweh Bashem Yahshai Brakatah to all the brothers, Yahweh Shamar Atam Bashem Yahshai to all the sisters. We're just gonna get, yeah, you can go ahead and clap it up.